wedde ya documentary ewedde oli mu ddwaliro kati season 5 ejatandika nga ovuddeyo naye principal oli mukwano gwange wankubira n'ekussimu naye principal ebintu by'obubadi ebyo wandibadde obyesonyiwa kati kali akabwa ke wafunye just a breeze yekuteekesako ebyuma by'omutima ebikwata amawuggwe luyale buneba basawo mmwe yo doctors basawo mmwe muve mu kuzanya documentary kali akabwa nga n'omwana wa bebi atambula principal nedda season 4 ewedde season 4 ewedde oli mu ddwaliro kyo kati Eddie Mutwe wabadde odduka oddawa kwa principal nga tumuvuddeko Eddie Mutwe wadduse olagawa enziruka Eddie Mutwe gye wadduse odduke weekweke mu nsiko.
Before they could even get to where people were, if you see those videos, you know, they were coming off a particular route, they were waylaid there, tear gas, which got into his vehicle, got uncomfortable, and so he got out of the car. Also to see if you could try and engage these people, to ask, well, why exactly are you doing this? I'm from visiting my friend, I'm going back to my home. Shortly after he got out of his car, they aimed and fired a tear gas canister onto his leg, which exploded, and it did cause an injury. There were fragments that remained embedded in his leg. Thankfully, a minor surgery was done this morning, and so those fragments were removed. He's out of danger. He requested the hospital to discharge him so he could get the rest of the medication from home, because the security situation at the hospital had become precarious. Since yesterday, I was there till very late. Security operatives in plain clothes kept, within the place. They were harassing the medical staff of the hospital, asking them to give them his medical records. They said that's unethical. We cannot do that. We only give these medical records to him or his wife, so we cannot give them to you. And then at some point, they tried to force their way into his hospital room. And we said, but you people, when you are out there saying he just slid and fell, so what do you want? And so the same was happening this morning. So he felt uncomfortable and really unsafe, because the way they were aggressively moving, maybe anytime they were about to break that door and get their ring to do what, we don't know. So he requested, and the doctor said, good enough, now the fragments have been removed. The rest of the medication can be handled while he's at home. So he got discharged this afternoon. What's problematic is the official statement that we have seen by police saying, no, Honorable Chagulanyi was entering his car, he slid and fell. I thought, wow, Enaga has trained many people therein. Even when he's no longer a spokesperson of police, he has disciples that are doing the job even better than himself. How do you say such a ridiculous thing in this day and age?
Well, the police spokesperson said on the account of the policemen who were on the ground. That's what happened. That's the story, the information that was...
Of course, we don't expect the police spokesperson to be in every part of this country wherever something is happening. But by the time he outs a statement and puts his signature to it, I expect him to be smarter than that. So if he's scapegoating and saying, if this is a very lousy account, I blame it on the other people. Well, you are the one communicating on behalf of the police. How do you out such a ridiculous statement when everybody, even a border raider who was on phone, is able to see that, but wait a minute, this is exactly what happened. But the police spokesperson is saying, on account of these guys, this is what happened, regardless of whatever is on social media. Preposterous, but not unexpected.
Right. Now, the police says they are going to investigate this matter conclusively. Are you happy with that? They want to get to the bottom of it.
They have been investigating the killing of Yasin Kauma since 2018. Anderson, have you seen that report yet? Have you ever seen the report of the Budo Inferno? You remember those children that were burnt in that Inferno in Budo? I'm sorry, this might, really bring out not so good memories to some of our listeners. Maybe some were affected, some lost their children. But many times, yes, the police will say we are investigating. Have you ever seen a report of the fires that were, raising down parts of Owino markets in the past? So I am telling you not to be excited about such a statement.
So
they say they will investigate, but everything is out
Would
there.
you want an investigation conducted so that maybe those that carried out this act can be brought to book?
One, I don't believe that they are interested in carrying out an investigation because they never are. That's why I've told you.
They are on record. The statement issued by the police spokesperson.
And I'm saying that can
they
be
say
on
they will
record.
leave no stone unturned.
But be that as it may, Kenneth, let's assume they really are desirous to carry out an investigation. In that case, then, you don't jump to conclusions and say, this guy just slid and fell. At the very least, you could be smart enough. I don't know who helps these guys put together these statements. You could be smart enough to say, look, yes, there was an incident. Honorable Chagulanyi, you got injured. We are going to carry out an investigation. At least you're shielding yourself. But you're saying he slid and fell. So what investigation are you going to carry out? Because you have already come to a conclusion.
Because the reason I'm asking you this is, in order for the police to carry out a conclusive investigations, one, they will have to have access to Robert Chagulanyi, but even his medical records to understand exactly what was removed from his leg.
Kenneth, the police has already concluded. Actually, today they released another statement. You know, when you tell a lie, you've got to tell another lie to buttress the other lie. Have you seen today's statement?
Yes, I saw it.
You saw the one of yesterday?
I did.
Yeah, so now today they are saying they've tweaked it a bit because they were looking shabby, because clearly all the videos were out there. So they are saying, yes, there was, he was in the middle of tear gas somewhere there, and then he fell. Yesterday there was no talk of tear gas. He said that this guy was entering his car, he slid and fell.
Actually,
the videos made rounds.
Yesterday the spokesperson said because of the procession that was ensuing, the police were forced to intervene. And the intervention symbolized the tear gas, which was fired.
Two things, Kenneth. One, I don't know if you've seen those videos and whether you have seen any kind of procession.
I have actually. I watched.
Did you see a procession?
I watched the incident on Get On
Did
TV
you see a procession?
As it ensued.
Did you see a procession? Kenneth is looking at me, but that gives you the answer. Everyone has seen these videos. There was no procession anywhere. These people were way late. Okay? Yeah, within the town, there were, of course, people were getting excited because they knew he was in the area. So far off, somewhere within the town, people were getting excited and so on. But where he was, did you see a procession?
Well, you have not had a good time with the police, and we have seen a number of times incidents occurring. At one point, you had even meetings with police hierarchy to be able to cure some of these issues, and you agreed you even had liaison people to be able to communicate to ensure that you can carry out your activity within what they think is permissible. Are we likely to see a situation where NUP and the police are actually coordinating in order for you to carry out your activities, and in a situation where we do not see the police intervening? What do you think would be ideal?
No, actually, if you want me to be honest with you, Kenneth, I don't think the real problem is the police and the military. No, I think, many of these are innocent people being used to do whatever it is that they do. The orders come from wherever they come, and theirs is to execute. We have got a regime that's been around for close to 40 years, and their default setting is panic. Anyone that comes up to oppose them, kill, beat, jail. That's their default setting, and that has been their modus operandi. So the problem is, in my view, my honest view, not so much, these foot soldiers, if I'm to call them, whether it be the real guys or their commanders in the field and so on. Those guys are not the real problem, in my view. The real problem is way above them. The real problem that we have is this regime that has decided they will cling on to power at whatever cost. So anyone that raises their head, it will be beaten, it will be smashed. In Arua, they wanted to kill Chagulanyi. And they killed his driver because they thought, let's now finish this guy off, we shall deal with the consequences. That's the regime.
Not that I want to apportion blame to you as a political party, but do you sometimes sit back and reflect and say, as a political party, maybe here would have done better, this is what probably we need to do? Do you share any blame on your part for the incidents that have occurred so far? Have you been able to reflect?
You see, I don't want to sit here and say I'm a perfect human being. No one is. But then it would be good to assess scenario by scenario. And then you say, in this particular scenario, this is what we did wrong. So in yesterday's scenario, for example, what did the Honorable Chagulanyi do wrong? He went for a private visit, which was within this home. He was living on his way home. They waylaid him, began to fire tear gas. What wrong thing did he do? Help me understand. There you are. So, but like I've told you, Kenneth, the problem is larger than just police and the military. It is the regime. I mean, you keep hearing Mr. Museveni. He went on TV after the Arua incident and said Bobi Wine and those other people were beaten properly. So you even find it very difficult sometimes to blame these junior foot soldiers because you see where the command is coming from when he says they were beaten properly. Clearly, that tells you who did issue the orders. And that's the crux of the matter.
All right. Let's move on now and go to your duty station, which is Parliament, where you were elected to serve, but also not only as an MP, but also as the leader of opposition. Now, of late, you've been in the news, and one of the things that has featured highly is
blaming me and saying, but look, where were you when we were passing budget for these regional cities? And I said, okay, I don't want to engage into some kind of catfight with some of these fellows because the number of them, many times I look at the back and I don't see them in Parliament, but that's okay. Maybe they're busy elsewhere and so on. But they were saying, we passed this budget for the regional sittings. The rope was not around. Now he's complaining. Why is he complaining after we passed it in the budget? A few moments later, the speaker says, no, there was no budget for the regional sittings. We simply picked money from committees and elsewhere. I said, now, the challenge with these people is they don't even have harmony. I think they're just told, you go and bash Ssenyonyi. Then they go and they're all speaking different languages. Maybe they should have harmony, even when they want to come and, disregard whatever it is that I'm saying. Have a bit of harmony. Otherwise, you look confused. Because if you're saying money was passed in the budget, this Ssenyonyi was not around when we were passing that money in the budget. But now the presiding officer is saying, no, there was no budget for this. We speak money from here, from committees. Anyway, let me leave that issue alone because it's a ridiculous one.
I'll be coming back to you on the issue
today,
of money in Parliament.
Today, because this was tethered to that particular issue, I thought I should put it out because it was the defense of some of my colleagues. Some of them were saying, the reason we are going is because this money was passed in the budget. Maybe the rope was not present that day when we passed it in the budget. But then there's a contradictory narrative. Today I've been reading the press and I've been seeing feedback from Northern Uganda. I don't know if you have.
Yes, I have seen.
They are complaining, a couple of them, leaders, locals, and they are saying, wait a minute, this regional seating, we don't see its usefulness. We were promised that when these people come here, all our issues are going to be resolved. But number one, they didn't even get to discuss many of these issues. Number two, they told us the same false promises that they have always given us. I saw on the news one particular MP called the Honorable Maneno Zumra. She's the Obongi woman MP. She belongs to the NRM. And what I saw captured on the news was her complaining and saying, government each election cycle has always promised to fix roads and infrastructure in her district, Obongi, and electricity. And she says, it is always a promise in the manifesto, it's never fulfilled. And she said, my party NRM, those were her words, in the next election, please don't put this issue in your manifesto, because it will be another lie. So they were there quarreling because of the usual false promises. The point that I was making, Anderson, which I believe many people did understand, including people in northern Uganda, is when you're going to spend 20 billion shillings on these regional seatings and take parliament away from Kampala, it goes and sits in a district, Gulu, for example, where it began. It is still parliament. It's not like you're going out there and people are going to come and interact with parliament, make submissions. No. You know, in parliament, strangers are not allowed. The few that came leaders were in the gallery and they were also not submitting. So parliament sat and it left. But then, what exactly was the impact? Because we always deliberate on matters to do with the different regions. People send representatives who, and I may not even politically agree with many of these representatives, but what I have seen in parliament is that representatives from particular areas, they know the concerns of their people, and they always raise them on the floor. It might be through a different angle, politically or otherwise, but they know the issues. And the ones in the north have always raised these issues. And my point is, instead of spending billions to go and make more false promises to them, sit as parliament, afterwards leave and come back, and the issues persist. Can we have a way to see that these issues are addressed?
All right. What if somebody tells you that maybe you missed a golden opportunity to outshine your political competitor, the NRM? Like you likely said, some of the members of that political party were actually the one bashing them. Somebody would say these regional sittings equip you as the opposition with opportunity to actually exploit. And some people have been saying you missed an opportunity to actually score politically as a political grouping.
How? To score how exactly?
Well, you'd rub it in their eyes.
But we have always done so. And that's why the people...
Before there are people in Gulu.
Yeah, but the people were not present there really. They were also watching.
There were some people
There were a few, like is normally the case when we have parliament. Here, there are some people who will be in the gallery. Are you saying the whole of northern Uganda was in that, even Gulu itself? Of course not. So majority were watching on TV the same way they do watch me on TV when I'm here in Kampala and so on. And we always make a case for their concerns, whether it be Nodding Syndrome, Karuma Bridge, which has literally cut off the north for several months, whether it be the Apaland question, boundaries issue, and so on and so forth. So those who are saying I missed an opportunity, it's not like MPs were addressing a rally. Because if it was a huge rally, then you would say, hey, I've missed an opportunity to speak to this gathering. No, it was still parliament.
There was some sort of focus on northern Uganda.
And that's now
which makes it a little bit unique.
The people are complaining who are saying, you guys came here, first of all, you did not digest all the issues that are concerned to us, but you've gone away with what exactly? Was there some kind of commitment? Was there some kind of resolution passed that is going to be enforced? Was there what exactly? And that's what is bothering them. And they are saying, but you blew all of this money. Why didn't you sit in Kampala without blowing extra money and still deliberate on these issues and push government to come and attend to these issues on the ground?
Surprisingly, people are criticizing you, not only from the NRM, but we also saw people from the opposition, which you lead. If I can recollect well, there were about 20 MPs there. You even had somebody who replaced you as the leader of opposition on that day, and other people also announced themselves as shadow ministers for the different portfolios which are under your leadership in the House. So it isn't only the NRM which seemed to have an issue with you, but even your colleagues, your peers.
Okay, away from the masqueraders. You know, there are people who, as I have been saying, they were never happy that Joel became Lob. Some thought it should have been them.
Is that
so? Now they imagine if I go and I tell the speaker, now I'm the Lob. So you become the Lob. The speaker is not the one who appoints the leader of the opposition. But anyway, maybe it was good for the camera, but that didn't mean that person has become Lob or shadow cabinet minister. But away from that drama.
Do you want to confirm to the listener that there's a power struggle? There are people you're struggling with in your setup within the opposition?
You know, there are people who are probably struggling, and you have been seeing them, but not to be derailed too much. Yes, there were some colleagues, and that's not unexpected. You know, who will say, because as I've been saying, you had some of them, their defense was that we passed this budget for the regional cities. But then the speaker contradicted what they said. He said there was no budget passed for these regional sittings. We just picked money from here and there, and the regional sittings happened for different reasons. that is not unexpected. When we say we shall not go for the State of the Nation address and budget reading, there will be some who will go. When we got out of Parliament over human rights violations and so on, there are some who would go. It has always happened. I was having a chat with the Honorable Incase when she was leader of the opposition during the Tojukwata Coup. She told me they would sit and meet and have deliberations and so on. By the time they've finished, their strategy has already been shared by some members across to the NRM side, and so that's expected, really.
All right.
But you move nonetheless.
All right.
But more importantly, Anderson, I think that we need not to create an impression that the quandaries that different communities are grappling with in this country will be resolved when you move Parliament there. Otherwise, then you're going to have to move it to all the districts. All right. Because now it's sat in Gulu. But the people in West Nile are saying, Gulu is kilometers away from us. The people in Karamoja, the people in Kitgum, etc., are you going to take Parliament everywhere? That's why we have a centralized place, deliberate on those issues, and attend to those issues.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Keep your comments coming via the WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. My guest this evening is Joel Ssenyonyi, the leader of opposition in Parliament, Nakar West MP. We are going for a short break. When we return, we will continue with Matters Parliament. There are a number of issues that have kept on coming, and some people are actually wondering, what is the relationship between the leader of opposition and the Speaker of Parliament? Those two offices are supposed to work together in order to steer the August House. What is going on? Is it a personal issue? Is it matters of principle? We'll be delving in those issues when we return from the break.
We know these times have been challenging, but also believe that
as a journalist, and I'm sure as a colleague in profession, you also did follow the transactions that were occurring in Parliament before you actually joined it. I've never seen such deep agreement between the leader of opposition and the Speaker of Parliament. You and Honorable Anita Among, Right Honorable Anita Among, have just taken it to another level. What could be going on? What is the issue between the two of you?
I would not want this to be construed the way you probably are trying to push it, as a personal fight. My fight has always been a principled fight. I've always stated what the issue is and why I am opposed to a particular issue. I respect the Speaker because of the office she occupies, but I said even when I do respect her, I will not keep quiet when I see her digress from the law, when I see her misuse and misappropriate public money, Parliament money, when I see her operating outside the law. It is my duty. My role is to keep government in check. I'm like the thermometer that tells you now your temperature is high, now your temperature is low. You don't say that this thermometer has a personal issue with me. No, it is telling you your temperature. When I raise these concerns, it's because that's what is happening. So that's the issue. When I tell the Speaker, but wait a minute, you're sitting in the commission, you are giving yourselves money in an unprecedented manner. I mean, you have said that you've never seen this, you've been covering Parliament with all its goofs. I don't know if you had ever seen a situation like this. People just sit, and they're distributing money amongst themselves. They're awarding themselves contracts to their personal enterprises, their radios, their whatever. How does this happen? Surely, you know that now 500 million shillings to buy generators for personal home. You know that now another 500 million shillings to buy solar lights and razor wire for the personal home of the speaker. And so, have you ever seen this kind of situation?
Privileges and
have you ever seen which speaker has ever benefited from those kind of privileges? You tell me. You have covered Parliament for a very long time. I know that for a fact.
Maybe we didn't have the opportunity then as a media to look deep into the budget of Parliament and what actually was being spent on. And now there was an opportunity with the
let's imagine that is true.
The leaking of the different documents.
Let's imagine that is true. Now we know. Now we know. So should we keep quiet? So are you going to say, well, it's possible it used to happen, but we didn't know because nothing was leaked or whatever the case might be? Well, now things have been leaked and it is out there. So now you know. What do you do about it? Do you keep quiet? So those are my concerns. And so when I'm tackling these issues that I'm saying, no, this is wrong. This is corruption. This is ultra-vires. It's outside of the law. That's my duty. So yes, some people will construe it as a personal issue, but I don't care about the personality called Anita among, my issue with her is because of the position she occupies and how she is using or misusing that position. That's my issue. Her personal life, what she eats for breakfast, what she, does what, and so on. I don't care. And that's why you never hear me talking about her personal issues. There's a lot to talk about her personal issue, but I don't go that direction. Just like there's a lot to talk about anybody anyway, about their personal lives or whatever the case might be. You never hear me talk about her personal, because that's not my business. My business is the Speaker of Parliament, who is our leader in Parliament, and how she's operating within her office, how she is using or misusing Parliament money and her office. That's my concern.
All right, there's been an outcry on the way money is being spent in Parliament, and you might have followed the parliamentary exhibition and so many things that kept coming out. In your view as a leader in that institution, how do we cure this problem? How do we deal with this situation? Because there's an outcry out there, people saying they do not understand the budget of Parliament, they do not know how priorities are picked out, they do not know how even you arrive on some of the things that you spend on.
It's interesting how even members of the commission, there's a particular meeting where we were couple of MPs, chairpersons of committees, and so on, and some staff, and the Prime Minister blew up. I saw it still in the media, because there were many people in this particular meeting in Conference Hall A. And the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robin Anabanga, was complaining too and saying, but wait, I was last invited for a commission meeting in March of last year. What happens? When do meetings of the commission sit? She's a member of the commission. And then the clerk said, but there was one in August last year. She said, but I wasn't invited for it. I decided to keep quiet. In fact, I said I've donated my time to the Prime Minister, because when I raise these issues, people say I have a personal issue with the Speaker.
You've also been
complaining. I've donated my time to the Prime Minister. Please keep going, because these are critical issues. You see, when you're doing the wrong thing, you try and hide it from people, because you know that when some of us are in that meeting, we are not going to acquiesce. We are not going to allow or to condone some of these dealings that are happening. So what do? Keep these people out and keep moving. Pass your own thing. Let the public do whatever it is that they want to do. And you see, the challenge is that she has got the backing of the highest office in this land. You have heard Mr. Museveni say, no, you leave Anita among those who are disturbing her, they are homosexuals and so on. But this is taxpayers' money. So Ugandans are complaining and saying, wait a minute, when did we start to buy solar lights for the Speaker in her personal home in Bukedia? And when Ugandans complain about that, you say they're homosexuals? Surely. And now she will keep doing it with a lot more impunity, because Mr. Museveni is protecting her. So it's only going to get worse, because she has got the protection. I wrote to the IGG after we began to out all these different things. I wrote to the IGG, DPP, Auditor General, asking them to investigate these matters. A couple of days later, Mr. Museveni was in Bukedia for that initial function, and he pretty much exonerated her and said those who are after her, they are anti-progress and so on. I said now, the IGG is not going to do anything about the letter written to her because her appointing authority has said, leave Anita Among alone. The same way Mr. Museveni told the IGG when she wanted to introduce a lifestyle audit. Mr. Museveni said, no, you leave our thieves alone. After all, they're investing what they steal here. If you go so hard on them, they'll take that stolen money elsewhere. Did you not hear that, Kenneth? I'm asking you, sir.
There was something like that in the news.
So anyhow, that's the problem. So when now the law cannot catch up with a person like this one, when she's being protected by powerful people, including, you know, the person occupying the office of head of state, she will keep operating with impunity, with the narrative of, you guys can go to hell for all I care.
So how do we cure that issue? How do we cure?
One, I am glad that Ugandans have risen up, so that now it doesn't get to be seen as a personal fight between Joel Ssenyonyi and Anita Among, the speaker, because it is not. That's how some people were beginning to perceive it as. But I'm glad people began to rise up. Young people saying, but wait a minute, this is wrong, this is problematic. Some have been attempting to march to parliament, yes, being stopped and arrested and so on. But for me, that was a good thing, that they have come alive to this situation and that they are on board. So that it is not just me making noise about this issue, because otherwise then it will be construed as a personal fight. But no, this is taxpayers' money. So I'm glad Ugandans are rising up. I'm hoping a lot more will rise up. That's the only way we can get to fix these issues. Yes, Mr. Museveni can back and protect her and all of that, but let's not stop. Let's not drop the ball, all of us.
All right. There were issues also which were directed to you, and one listener actually here sends in a message. Kibet Patrick Naptani, listening in from Bududa. This week he says it's raining heavily in Bududa, but they are listening to us loud and clear. He says Joel Ssenyonyi looks worried and in panic mode, but the bill which is being hatched by Honorable Rumu Richard is going to affect him, and he wants me to look directly in your eyes and ask you about that particular bill. We'll be looking at that bill, but particularly says ask him. He says the allowances, the 12 allowances which were paid to his account, have they been returned to the treasury? That's a question he is putting to you. There's some people who are saying that you've also been receiving money.
The answer is yes, Kenneth. You know, we put Parliament on notice, okay, that a couple of us will not be going for the regional sittings. About a month or so before, because I raised this issue on the floor, I wrote several letters and so on, so we put them on notice. But nonetheless, they dispatched money to every member's account. I called the clerk before the Gulu sitting. I said, now, we have seen money reflect on all our accounts, but as we have said, a number of us are not going to Gulu. How do we get this money back? Because we are not going to use it, we are not going to travel. So he said, one, there will be registration in Gulu, so everyone who will not register, the money will be retrieved from their next pay. There's an office in Parliament, you know, it's called Accountability Office. You know, so when you travel and sometimes you turn early or whatever the case might be, or you don't travel and yet you're giving money for it, it will be recovered. But I said, well, some of us might not want to wait until next month. So his advice was, instruct your banks to send that money back. And that's what we did. I personally instructed my bank on 27th to return the money to sender, and the money was sent back. And that's the same thing that has happened with our colleagues, because we were saying, well, even though it's going to be recovered next month, we don't want to wait till next month, let's do it now. So we sent the money back. And some people have said, well, when you send it back, it will still be used for other things. Well, at least we've exonerated ourselves, because I didn't travel to Gulu. Some were giving me the idea of, now you organize your colleagues, that money, let you put it together and do some kind of charity or whatever the case might be. I said, but that's an illegality. That's an illegality. If you are given money to travel to Gulu and you don't go to Gulu, you don't say, now, let me use this money to do some kind of project that helps people and so on. It's an illegality, and that's why we send it back.
All right, Spectrum on Radio 1, FM 90, very many comments coming in, but let's now tackle this issue of the Honorable Richard Lumo bill. I'm sure you've heard what this bill proposes. There have been a number of proposals from the public about reforms that can be in Parliament. For instance, in the past I've heard about people who are saying the leader of the party with the majority in the opposition should automatically be in Parliament. We have heard about people proposing that, look, it's time for Uganda to introduce a bench of speakers, because the two speakers may not be adequate. You may need to see new faces, new ideas. on the bench or in the seat of the speaker. But we have a number of proposals that have come through. What's your impression of this bill, Honorable Ssenyonyi?
Well, from the start, it was an interesting machination. When Honorable Ssenyonyi in Gulu was trying to raise issues to do with the motion that he was spearheading, the Speaker told him, no, that manyanga there, don't bring it here. We are handling only issues of northern Uganda. You bring that manyanga of yours in Kampala. In the following day, Honorable Lumu is bringing this issue. I saw some colleagues, specifically Honorable Okino Jara from Chua West, Honorable Nekalit from Kitgum Municipality, and others were saying, but Madam Speaker, you said we're only going to handle issues of northern Uganda. How does now this bill of electing leader of opposition, how is it of concern to northern Uganda? Is the biggest problem northern Uganda is struggling with the fact that the leader of the opposition is not elected? And as I saw on the news, she told them, you sit down, let the member express his views. So clearly you could see it was choreographed and all of that. But of course, any member has got a right to raise a concern or a bill for that matter. There have been interesting questions that have come through that I've actually seen people asking, saying, but wait a minute, where has this been benchmarked? You know that the LOB is elected or leader of minority, as is the name in other countries.
There can always be a fuss for anything.
Well, that's interesting.
And it seems to suggest that the election of a LOB will bring harmony within the opposition in Parliament. That's the justification.
I don't know.
Ownership and harmony.
I think the problem we have in Parliament is bigger than just the harmony. Maybe on another day we can expound on these issues. But others have been saying, okay, if you are interested in the growth of multi-party politics generally, because with the advent of multi-party politics in 2006 and the Administration of Parliament Act coming into effect, it created these different offices. Leader of opposition, chief opposition whip, leader of government business, government chief whip, then committees to be chaired, those to be chaired by the ruling party, those to be chaired by the opposition, party whips, and so on and so forth. So people have been asking and saying, wait, are you saying you're going to be in the opposition forever? Because if you're legislating for posterity, don't you want to be in government? Why are you only concerned about the opposition? But if tomorrow you are in government, then that means maybe you should be broader to say, okay, maybe even the leader of government business, the government chief whip, committee chairpersons, party whips, because he's the deputy whip of DP, who was appointed by Honorable Norbert Mao. Honorable Port was Okot Peter, Tochi County, was appointed the DP whip, and Honorable Lumu was appointed by Honorable Mao as deputy whip. So some are saying maybe you should have made provision for even position like the one you occupy to be elective and all of that. But look, ultimately, you see, and that's why it becomes a problem when you want to target a particular individual. This guy is giving us headache, disturbing us, he's raising all these different issues and so on. Let's deal with him. When you legislate for a particular individual, it's a problem, because Joel is LOB today. I'm not going to be leader of opposition forever. Yeah, and like I'm saying, if he is serious about we in the opposition eventually taking power, and you're saying that the side you are to be on, you would want to elect your leader, I would have expected him to suggest the same for leader of government business, because is he not interested in being in government tomorrow? Do you get my point?
I get your point.
Yeah, so
the law should be blind.
That's the idea.
And comprehensive in
generally. But again, as we're establishing, maybe this could be setting the stage for many different things. There's been talk about Parliament electing the president. Some people are saying that yes, they are now beginning to set the stage that if some leaders in Parliament can be elected by MPs progressively to normalize it, then eventually they say, but wait, even the president can be elected by these very MPs and so on. So it could be a precursor to many different things. But well, I wish him well. I've seen a document, he submitted a document to party officers, which is also very confusing. Because on the one hand, he's suggesting that now the party in the opposition with majority MPs should nominate three names. And one of those
can be elected
can
by the whole caucus of the opposition.
In the same document, he is saying that now the party with majority MPs on the opposition side, as long as it has scored 50% of the votes that were gotten by the one that won, that first
leader of
runner-up
that political party
becomes the leader of the opposition.
So he's throwing
there's a lot of
He's
confusion.
throwing ideas around that you can pick on.
Then be organized and know exactly what it is that you want.
All right, let's get feedback from the listeners. I'll begin with Patrick Ponyo from Busega. Said there should be harmony in Parliament, both the opposition and the leadership of Parliament. Sometimes going too radical is not necessary because there will be stalemate at all levels. The opposition to boycott regional sittings, the opposition missed the opportunity to talk to the people of the North. In fact, you have given the NRM the chance to ride on you.
There was no rally.
Another comment, Kanene Johnson writes in from Sironko. He says, I think we should tell Honorable Ssenyonyi that they have failed to manage the opposition. They took charge of opposition and wanted to have it alone, forgetting that the opposition has more other members. They needed to share responsibility. That is why other parties are not with them or are not listening to them. Then we have another comment from another listener. Good evening, Kenneth. George from Bunka. I have a big problem with the whole thing of Honorable Ssenyonyi. Some people think they are more deserving than others because they are called senior members in the House. They have failed to groom young generations to take up the mantle, but when it came to Mr. Joel Ssenyonyi becoming LOP, it became an issue of debating whether he is experienced or not. It became an issue. More so, Kenneth, make me understand where the college or university where they train people to acquire experience. I got disgusted with the whole thing. I thought we acquire experience on job while learning from the seniors. Then we have another comment coming in from another listener here who says, good evening, Spectrum. Abikwizera at Kawempe Kutano. My question to Law Parliament scrutinizes the budget allocations for all ministries and other government departments before approval. Who scrutinizes the parliamentary budget? Where the Parliament get the financial or budget accountability? Because perhaps it has, perhaps if this was available, we should know where the money for regional sittings came from. Then he says, don't you think that one to be a member of Parliament and at the same time a minister is being corrupt? Well, that's a comment there that comes in from that. Listen, a quick question to Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi. You're going to boycott the forthcoming sessions in other regions or just the North? Away from that, you missed an opportunity to create relationships and networks, which should be a strategy of every politician. Also, Joel, I wish you could handle issues with a bit more maturity and diplomacy. Some sensitive disagreements could be handled well without being so combative and displaying anger. I hope, though, you will mature in time. You now need more leadership skills, even to handle opposition acrimony. Benon Fetrinamas Kodwaisina says, as it looks, the remaining part of this term of Parliament is going to be a tough one, as MPs, including the Speaker herself, are now worried of re-election in 2026. Nothing reasonable is going to emerge out of the House now and going forward. And adopting regional seating seems to have been the only way to avoid the Occupy Parliament protests by the young people. We have a comment coming in from another listener, Marido Okello, who is listening in from Kisumu, Kenya. He says, tell Ssenyonyi that I pray for him every day. He's doing a great job and I have nothing more to add on. Then we have another comment, Todi from Gulu says, bravo to Bobi and the opposition at large and the citizens of Uganda. They should know that freedom is never given by the oppressor. Then lastly, we have this comment, what will the police investigate when the conclusive report came out in less than an hour after the incident? That's a comment that comes in from Benjamin. Well, that's the feedback we're getting from the listeners. If we can wrap it up, Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi.
Very quickly, there's somebody who was saying that I'm very combative in my approach. At least me, I'm only talking about these things. I saw young ladies, walk half naked. They are saying, you guys are stealing our taxpayer money. We are paying taxes through the nose. And others doing all manner of things. Ssenyonyi is talking about these things because it's my duty anyhow to keep the government in check. When I talk about these things, some people will get annoyed that I'm speaking out, but I'll speak out anyhow. And I want to challenge anyone to challenge the things that I say. When I say that the speaker sits with those commissioners and they are cutting deals, can any of them challenge and say it is not true? They're only coming out to say, well, it was passed by Parliament. That's now their new excuse and all of that. I saw at some point Chris Bobi was saying, okay, the LOP is complaining that the Speaker's Radio, you know, bought a contract worth 3.1 billion shillings. And he said, but isn't the Speaker's Radio entitled to doing business also? Why does he want to segregate it? And I said, no, that's not the issue. I'm only saying, can we do it prudently? So that even Radio 1 and Akabozi get to compete for that contract. Because why are you singling out a particular radio station which has a very short reach within Bukedya and maybe surroundings, and you're saying, this one, let's give it a contract of 3.1 billion shillings to do parliament work. How far does Radio 1 go in this country? How far? I'm asking you, sir. How wide is your coverage?
Well, it goes to eastern Uganda. We have some areas up north. Largely considerable part of this country.
So, weren't you deserving of that contract, or at least to compete for it? So now when I complain about these things, that Ssenyonyi is very combative. Well, I will say the uncomfortable things. Regardless, what's important is that we'll not keep quiet. There will be many diversions. There will be many digressions. Some have even thought that this particular bill here, the Honorable Lumo, could be a diversion from several things. The corruption in Parliament, there was a lot of heat about that. Now all the focus has gone off that. It is on this bill. Kitezi happened. Over 30 people died. 28 are still unaccounted for. The wheel loaders and the tractors that were digging to still try and locate these remains, you know, they moved away for nearly 2 weeks now. There's nothing happening. The conversation has moved away because all of you radio stations and everybody was talking about that situation. There was a lot of pressure. So there will always be things thrown around to just cause a complete diversion. Now everybody is talking about the Lumo bill and so on. The LOP has to be elected and all of that. Let's remain focused. Yeah, let's major on majors and minor on minors. There will be people who will bring in some few things here and there. Don't lose focus on the real issues.
All right. With that, we come to the end of Spectrum. Let me thank you, Honorable Ssenyonyi, for making time to come and share with Uganda. And thank you very much, dear listeners, for making time not only to listen, but also contribute with comments and questions. Your views help us to shape the discussion here in studio. Tomorrow, same time, another edition of Spectrum will be on air. But right now, I hand over to the newsroom with the news in English with Miss Lillian Keno. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train.